Hello everyone, it's History Behind the Warrior, and welcome back to yet another Mortal Kombat 1 video that I'm actually very excited to make. Because just earlier today, thanks for the 2 AM content drop NetherRealm, NRS finally decided to reveal some official character bios for Mortal Kombat 1, revealing some new details about what exactly is happening in the story, and most importantly, what is going on with each individual character. Because as of right now, we know the bare minimum when it comes to knowing the new interpretation of characters. Because for the most part, we've only been piecing them together from lingering bits of dialogue from early access as well as the stress test beta. So today, a lot of those details will be cleared up on what is exactly going on with each character here. So starting off, it only felt right to touch on him first. We will be talking about the wielder of the hourglass and the arbiter of this new timeline, Liu Kang. Having won control of the hourglass, Liu Kang restarted history. He neutralized the threats and dangers that had come before, crafting a new era in which all beings have the opportunity to find peace. But that peace is now threatened by an enemy that Liu Kang could have never anticipated. It will take all of his wisdom and experience to save not only Earthrealm, but all of reality. So starting off, what I find to be the most interesting here is when his bio states the following: neutralized the threats and dangers that had come before. I believe that this does strongly indicate that villains like Shao Kahn or even Shinnok may no longer be as much of a prominent threat like they have been in previous timelines. The question is, how far does this statement cover? As we know that this Liu Kang in particular never battled the likes of the Deadly Alliance, nor the Dragon King Onaga. That was all in the first timeline. And we can see that via Shang Tsung, his power and reach can only go so far. And this is somewhat solidified in the very last paragraph here, where the threat coming his way is something that he could have never seen. And really, this could mean a number of different things. But with the ideas we do have presented here, I think that the two strongest possibilities right now is that the next antagonist may be a titan of sorts, seeing as they were just introduced in the last game, or possibly Onaga, as again, we know that Liu never interacted with him. And even so, if Onaga was neutralized very early on, it's still very possible for him to plot his own return, like he had done in Deception. So a very similar concept could happen here. And we all know that Ed has teased the return of Sejenko via a Twitter poll. So I'd say that's a pretty strong tease right now. Now what I am interested to hear is what has become of the hourglass since we've last seen it. Because somewhat guesstimating how long Liu has been in this timeline, it looks like he may have very well stayed around since the Great Kung Lao era into the current present. But it looks like we have to wait and see in order to get more details. Now moving on, we of course have our fan favorite of the series, Scorpion. And a lot, and I mean a lot, has changed with the former Revenant Ninja. And his bio says the following: like his cherished father, Scorpion is dedicated to the Lin Kuei. Like his cherished father, Scorpion is dedicated to the Lin Kuei and its defense of Earthrealm. When his father died, Scorpion was bereft, though he took pride in knowing that his brother, Sub-Zero, would succeed their father as the Lin Kuei's Grand Master. But Sub-Zero's unprecedented move to cast off the Lin Kuei's traditional duties have frozen Scorpion's enthusiasm. He fears that he may one day have to battle his brother for control of the Lin Kuei's legacy. Now, there's a lot to say here. And yeah, it looks like in this timeline that not only does Scorpion derive from the Lin Kuei, but he is also the brother of its Grandmaster Bi-Han. So in this timeline and continuity, it looks like the Shirai Ryu either don't exist anymore or are actually yet to do so. Also, what really perks my interest here is actually learning of their father, a figure that previously has never been fully touched on or tapped into within the mythos, let alone us learning that he was a Grand Master. The reason why this is also intriguing is because this goes quite far back to the original conception of the character when they had two ninjas. One of the brothers would be on the run, whilst the other had overthrown the Lin Kuei and was hunting the renegade down. So it looks like here, those original ideas and concepts may be bleeding through in a completely new and different manner. And since we're talking about the family dynamic here, it's very interesting to know that Bihan is now the Grand Master of the Lin Kuei, creating a new vision for the Order that strays away from the original purpose of the clan, being defenders of Earthrealm. As Sub-Zero's own bio does say the following: as the Lin Kuei's Grand Master, Sub-Zero leads his ancient warrior clan in the defense of Earthrealm from external threats. For centuries, it's been their solemn task, but Earthrealm hasn't been threatened in generations, and Sub-Zero sees no point in limiting his clan to preparing for dangers that may never come. Under his leadership, the Lin Kuei will come out of the shadows and fight for its place as one of Earthrealm's great nations. So it does look like Bihan's own ambitions completely defy the original purpose of the clan, which has kind of already been teased in some early intros, where he wants the Lin Kuei to serve themselves. So there's not really too much to add here as to what could be happening to Sub-Zero, only that the two brothers do seem fated to fight each other. But again, this all goes back to the mystery of who exactly is under the mantle of Scorpion, because it's yet to be confirmed to be Hanzo Hasashi or Kuai Liang. But with the story laid out right now, I will most definitely say it is swinging in Kuai Liang's favor. Now moving on, we do have the Edenian sisters, Kitana and Mileena. Now to start off, it would only feel right to begin with the older sister, Mileena, the heir to Outworld's throne. Born mere seconds ahead of her twin sister, Mileena is the rightful heir to Outworld's throne. But even so, there are those who distrust Mileena's impulsiveness. They whisper that Kitana, with her steadier hand, should replace Mileena as heir to the throne. As Mileena fights for legitimacy, she hides a horrible secret. She's infected with the dreaded and lethal Tarkat disease. Were her inflictions found out, Mileena would be forced into battle to save her own throne. So a lot has been altered in this paragraph alone. First and foremost, that Kitana and Mileena are now canonically twin sisters, with Mileena being the older one. So this casts away the previous established canon where Mileena herself was a clone to her sister, which is super duper interesting because an idea like this has never been explored in that way. Along with that, it looks like Tarkat is now a disease, not just a species, that derives from Outworld, as previously the Tarkatans was said to be a hybrid of demon and mortal DNA. In the rebooted canon, the Tarkatans became their own individual race, whereas here, it looks like maybe Tarkatans may be a group of people inflicted with a form of disease that changes and presumably alters them into a more feral state. Either way, this is a super interesting take on Mileena, making her a tragic character with a desire for power that's always been her birthright, like it's something she's willing to fight for. What's also super intriguing here is the mention of Outworld's throne, and this could mean a number of different things. Like maybe that Edenia doesn't exactly quite exist, and that the Edenians themselves powers derived from Outworld, or possibly that Edenia itself is merged with Outworld, with Sindel still reigning as queen, as she features in the background of said stage, with Outworld itself being granted to Kitana and Mileena, as it is once again mentioned here in Kitana's bio. Princess of Outworld. Kitana has one purpose in life: to aid and protect her older sister, Mileena, as she prepares to rule Outworld one day. The steady-handed Kitana ignore the calls of those who advocate that she should replace her impulsive sister as heir. Instead, Kitana will defend the realm by fighting to make Mileena the best empress possible. She will also fight to hide the dark secret that could end her sister's reign before it begins. So it's super interesting to see this brand new take on Kitana, as she plays a bodyguard role to Mileena, very similar to how Jade has in previous timelines. And it seems like despite the chatter, she is extremely loyal to her sister. But of course, with all of this chatter and the feral nature of the Tarkatan disease, it's only going to be a matter of time before the two butt heads. Now the big question right now is who in Outworld, or possibly Edenia, is the one that's turning the two against each other. Could it be Sindel, as we cannot forget of her villainous counterparts in Mortal Kombat Aftermath, or possibly the likes of Tanya, as she has been branded by her people previously as a traitor. So it looks like there's someone amongst the royal court trying to turn the royal line against each other. As for who this could be, well, that's a question in itself. Now this takes us on to our next two characters here, Kung Lao and Raiden. Now starting off with Kung Lao, his bio does say the following. Born and raised in the village of Fengshan, Kung Lao has spent his life toiling in the fields. It has been an honorable life, if not a glorious one. Kung Lao's greatest fear is that his life will amount to nothing. He prays fervently that he will be called to do something bigger. His prayers are answered when he is asked to join the champions of Earthrealm. As a warrior fighting for his honor, Kung Lao knows that his victory will be a long remembrance. Now this take on Kung Lao is way different from how I had imagined, as it seems like the Lao line itself doesn't quite retain the prestige it did in the previous timeline, as the great Kung Lao himself may have never gained the infamy that made the lineage both wealthy and legendary. As we do know that the Lao line was quite a prestigious one, as they would later have a tragic fall from grace. So Kung Lao's line does come from money, but here he lives in a village. So, if I'm guesstimating, the Kung Lao here is starting on a fresh slate. Something completely new and very different from what we've ever seen before. I think that much like Raiden, he is an open canvas here, looking to create a legacy and a name for himself, instead of having a simple life farming fields. Moving on, we now have Raiden, who has been branded as Earthrealm's champion. In the village of Fengshan, Raiden was known for his kindness and his charity. He was happy to spend his days tending to the fields, as well as his family and friends. So when he is asked to leave Fengshan and become one of Earthrealm's champions, Raiden hesitates, but he soon realizes that to best serve his village, he must join them. As threats to Earthrealm mount, Raiden must mature into the great warrior that Liu Kang knows he can be. And wow, there's a lot to take away from this one. Okay, so right away, Raiden 110% mortal in this timeline. In fact, it's a completely different Raiden. Like with Lao, it's an open canvas sort of situation, and it does also seem that maybe Lao and Raiden could have possibly grown up alongside each other, kind of mirroring the friendship that Liu and Kung Lao had, especially seeing as Raiden is titled as champion of Earthrealm, something that previously was retained by Liu Kang. So despite the trailers kind of painting him as a novice, it very well looks like this Raiden could fill in the shoes of his pupil. And I must say, I really like what they've done with Raiden here. I definitely think it's a very interesting take on a character that's felt largely dry for quite a while. But moving on, our next character here is Johnny Cage, the 21st century action hero. Like many stars before him, Johnny became addicted to his fame. He came to measure his self-worth by his fans' adoration and their praise of him on social media. But with his star now fading, Johnny is fighting an uphill battle to remain relevant. He joins Liu Kang's Earthrealm champions, hoping that it will provide his career and his fame a desperately needed boost. Of all of the returning characters, Johnny actually seems to be one that hasn't changed too much. If anything, he's just been modernized for the current age of social media and how it can poison someone's self-worth. So all in all, Johnny hasn't seemed to have changed too much. Now our next and final character is Kenshi Takahashi, a character that's definitely taken on quite a change here. Restorer of his family's name. Once one of ancient Japan's most honored families, the Takahashis were decimated in battle. They lost everything, including the emblem of their power, the revered sword, Sento. Those who survived joined the Bakuto, a predecessor of the Yakuza, for its protection. 5 centuries later, Kenshi is raised on the stories of his ancient family's exploits. Detesting his corrupt Yakuza life, he pines to free the Takahashis from the Yakuza's grasp and restore his name. But for his family to follow him, Kenshi must first fight to prove that he can lead. His first battle is to find and retrieve Sento. And man, do I love what they've kind of done with Kenshi here. In previous iterations of this character, it's never elaborated on of what became of the Takahashi line. So it is genuinely very nice, at the very least, be mentioned here. And I do really enjoy his ties to the Yakuza, as it kind of serves as a way to write in how he was introduced to combat. But yeah, that covers basically every character's bio from Mortal Kombat 1 right now. So with that said, what are your current thoughts on these new established characters? Because there's a lot of changes across the board here that look to expand characters in a very new and very interesting way. I can't lie, the most interesting plot threads right now for me is who is Scorpion and what is going on in Outworld/Edenia. That whole plot thread revolving around the twin sisters is extremely interesting. Please do comments down below, as I'd love to hear what you have to say. But for now everyone, that has been it for me. So as always, stay strong, stay well, and keep on fighting. Take care everyone, I'll catch you all soon.